All right, it is Wednesday, December 8th. If you were in my homeroom, I'm sorry for all the confusion yesterday about the date and the time and the Tuesday, December 7th and all that. It is Wednesday, December 8th. We're talking about ordering fractions. We are reviewing for our test, which is Tuesday of next week. We're doing a little bit of review here on this. And we're talking about ordering fractions, and we've started the conversation by talking about the smallest one. And we know that 12/300ths is the smallest because if we take this one thing and we cut this one thing up into 300 pieces, that's only 20 pieces. So see how teeny tiny these pieces are? See how tiny those are?
Yeah.
Teeny tiny pieces. And I only have 12 of the 300 pieces. So is that a really big amount, or is that a teeny tiny baby amount? Itty teeny baby. Tiny, tiny amount. So the 12/300ths is your smallest. Like I said before we started the recording, a lot of you saw that 300 and allowed yourself to get tricked and think that 300 meant more, but it's 300 pieces. Whoa. Now they're itty bitty, right? Right. So finding the smallest first was a very wise decision. What should we go for next? We found the smallest. What should we go for next, Chloe?
12/25ths.
Well, yeah, we could, but what's the next thing we think we probably ought to figure out, Tucker?
22/40ths.
Is this the biggest one we have, or is it about halfway? This one's about half. This one's about half. Is there one? Is there one in this list that we are for sure 100% is the biggest, without a doubt? What is it? 4/5 is the biggest out of all of them? I don't know about that. Look around. People are like waving their hands and wagging their tails and just going crazy to answer the question. What do you think, Izzy?
It's 14/13 because it's a whole and 1/13. So it's over a whole. Correct.
14/13 is the only one that is greater than a whole. It's the only one bigger than one whole. So we know for sure that it's the biggest. What two do you think you want to tackle next? What do you think? Which two? Now, we have the littlest for sure. We for sure have the smallest. We for sure have the biggest. And so now we're going to start comparing these things 2 by 2. Cameron, what do you want? Which one do you want to compare it to? 12/25ths? Which is the one in the list that's left of these three that you're not for sure goes with which one's bigger, the 12/25ths? 22/40ths. 22/40ths. These two are like kind of close, aren't they?
A little bit.
What are they kind of close to? Jackson?
They might be equal.
They might be equal.
And they're close to half.
They're close to the half. Are they equal? They're not equal. But they're both super close to the half. So let's figure out where they are in the half. Let's talk about this 22/40ths first. Is 22 half of 40?
No.
What's half of 40?
20.
20, just plain old 20. So if we were going to compare 22/40ths to the half, it's not equal. That would be 20/40ths. What about 12/25ths compared to the half? Excellent, because half would be like 12 and a half, right? So
it's odd.
So
yeah, it's an odd number.
That's right. So if we double the 12, what are we going to get? Anybody?
24.
12 24ths. So these are obviously not equal, but we're comparing them to the half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's erase these pieces here. So of the 22 40ths and the 20 40ths, which one's bigger? Gracie? 22 40ths is bigger here. Of the 12 25ths and the 12 24ths, which one's bigger? Cole? Huh?
12,
Is this one bigger or smaller than the half? Because 12 24ths is half, and we said we would need 12 and a half 25ths. So this is the lesser. So what that means is that we've got 12 25ths here and 22 40ths next in line here. Now, why did I automatically take these and put them down here? Why did I do that?
because there is the other two, what are bigger than them.
How do you know that, Logan?
Because 27/8 is right here, and then 4.
Well, tell me about 4/5 and 7/8. 4/5 is what? Close to one whole or close to zero or close to
one home.
because it's only one away, right?
Yeah.
And then 7/8 is also only one away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that these two things are going to be similar in size. Thank you very much. Good job. You can be seated. These two things are going to be similar in size, and they're going to be kind of in this direction, kind of closer to the hole, right? So which comes which, Bobby?
4/5.
Comes first,
No.
and then
7/8.
why?
Because 4/5 that
That's right. That's right. Go.
because 4/5 it's less it's lesser than 7/8.
Hey, can I draw it?
Yeah.
You want to use a diagram or a number line?
Number 1.
All right. Zero, 1. Yes.
Yeah.
0, 1. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots, and I'm going to 4, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to the 4. There's my 4/5. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And where am I going to?
7.
The 7.
What?
Look at these spaces right here. It's hard to see this one because it got on top of that O. Look at these spaces right here. Which one's bigger, the 5ths or the 8ths? The 5ths. That means that when I have 4/5, even though I'm only 1 away from the hole, it's a bigger piece. So I'm further away from the hole than I am with the 8ths, right? So this is your correct answer right here. These are your answers to today's review slide. 12 300ths is the smallest amount of pieces. 14 13ths is only 1 over 1. And then these two we're comparing to the half. They're similar because they're really close to half. And then these two are both 1 away from the hole. And so they're really similar being 1 away from the hole. That's how this works. Okie dokie. You are going to need your Chromebook today opened up to the lesson. So I hope that you followed the directions on the review slide and have that already set up and ready to go. Today, let's add some tenths and hundredths, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Oh, so tired and sad. Let's add some tenths and hundredths, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
What do you notice and what do you wonder? Take some think time. I want you to take 30 seconds of thinking time. And I want you to think. What do you notice, Alea?
Oh, I noticed.
What do you notice or what do you wonder? You can share either.
I noticed that there's no lines going across an egg.
No lines going across on figure A. Good? Remington?
I noticed that number A and B are different because B put in squares and A put in lines instead of that. And also,
One at a time. A and B are different. A is lines or columns or rectangles.
This is easy.
Is that okay?
yes.
And B is what? Squares.
Squares or graph.
Can I write square units?
Yeah. I don't care.
B is square units.
Wait a second.
All right. Cora.
I wonder if they're equal.
Are they equal? I wonder. Good. Good question. Jaden?
I wonder why there's not a saying to part A and part B.
Why what?
There's not a saying like part A and then part B, but there's just B or A and B.
Why are they labeled that way? Okay. Bobby?
I wonder why there's not a fraction on the top thing.
Why do you wonder that, Bobby?
So we don't have to count every single one.
Oh, so you're saying, why did they not tell me how many squares they were in B?
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because if they would tell me how many squares there were, that sure would make my life a lot easier. Right? Landon, what do you notice? What do you wonder?
I noticed they are just the same because they both have one side full and the other like half.
So you're saying the blue looks the same on both.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Brentley.
I did on the outside of it, like I counted 10 on each side and I did 10 times 10 and there's hundreds. I noticed there's 100 squares in B.
B has 100 squares. Because 10 times 10 equals 100. Is that right, Brentley?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Tucker.
I noticed A and B are kind of similar because you just took A and put it on top of B, then just put lines through it.
A and B are similar. A has 10 rows. B has only columns. Is that fine?
Mhm.
Tucker?
Yeah.
Does that say what you want to say? Yeah? Annabelle, last one.
I wonder if we're gonna compare them.
Are we going to compare them? Okay. Great notices and wonders. Hey, did anybody read this carefully? Did anybody read? Did anybody read this part?
Yeah. I bet it. Yeah.
As a general rule of thumb, fourth graders are really good at not reading important information. I love you very much, but it's true. Y'all don't read, and you know it.
Yeah.
You don't read and you know it. Each large square represents 1. So that's very important for us to notice. This is one whole thing. When we've been talking about fractions so far, we haven't really talked much about squares being one whole thing. We've talked about circles. We've talked about number lines. We've talked about diagrams, usually a long rectangular diagram.
Yep.
You know, we've talked about a lot of things. We haven't talked about squares very much. And so this is one whole thing. This is one whole thing. And this is one whole thing. Okay? Okay, let's see here. I want you to flip to the next slide where it says, what fraction does each part in the first diagram represent? You stay on the questions, and I'm going to click back to the diagram. So, what fraction does each part in the first diagram represent? So here's my first diagram, diagram A. What fraction does each part, this right here, so we're talking about this right here, what fraction does this represent? Gracie? Hundreds? There's 100 of these in this one thing. Trenton?
Tens.
But what fraction is this? This section right here is 10/10. Is going to give me one whole thing. This is one whole thing. Remember?
1/10.
Each large square represents 1. So if I cut that square into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces, and I have one of them colored in, Trenton, say it again. What's the fraction going to be?
1/10.
1/10. This is 1/10. We would call these tenths. What about the second diagram? What fraction does each part represent in the second diagram? Each little fraction is about like this. Again, this here is one whole thing. That little teeny tiny part, this right here, what's going to be the fraction for that? What's going to be the fraction for that, Izzy?
For that one little part that you colored in, it's going to be 1/100.
1/100th. So this is 100th. We say hundredths. How many hundredths are shaded in blue? Bobby?
Wait, no. 15
15
hundredths.
hundredths. That's what this piece here is. How did you know that, Bobby? What did you do? You count the boxes?
No.
Did you count this as 10 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15?
Yeah.
Good. Good. That's what you should have done.
Good.
Can you see tenths in both boxes? Oh, brother. I didn't want that yellow. Oh, all right, fine. Can you see tenths in both boxes? Because this is tenths and this is hundredths. But on this diagram, on diagram B, can you see the tenths?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
How? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5,
Yeah.
6. You tracking?
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
What about in the tenths? Can you see the hundredths over here?
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
It's 1/100.
For the hundredths to see the tenths, you just take away these row lines. And that, for the tenths to see the hundredths, you put the row lines over here, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Do you think the shaded parts of the two diagrams represent the same fraction or different fractions? Bobby already told us that this shaded part is 15 hundredths. This shaded part is the same as that, but can we write a fraction for this many tenths? No, because we have 1 and
That's 1/2 of a tenth.
it's a half of a tenth. Is there any way to write a fraction? It would have to be like this, or like something weird that we don't do, right? We can't do that. It's not a thing right now. It's not a thing right now. Okay. Now, as we continue through this lesson, what you are going to be doing, and so this is for you online folks that are only exclusively watching the video, what the students are going to be doing in class today is you are going to be filling out this chart with your Uno partner. I'm going to give you the cards in a second, and you're going to fill out this chart with your partner. You and your partner are going to decide, if I have 1/10, how many hundredths is 1/10? And so what I would like for you to do is to go back in this diagram. So those of you that are watching online, you might want to do a screenshot action right now or something like that so that you can have the diagram readily available for you. Go back and look at the diagram. If I have 1/10 here, look up here at me. If I have 1/10 here, how many hundredths is that?
10.
Tucker?
10 hundredths.
10 hundredths. So you're going to go on your handy dandy chart right here, and you're going to write 10 hundredths. And what you are saying is that 1/10 is equivalent to 10 hundredths. That's what you're saying. And then you're going to see these, and you're going to go from the hundredths back. Then it's going to start getting real tricky, and you're going to have to really do some thinking. And then you're going to come down here, and you're going to create one of your own. Once you complete that, you're going to name some fractions that are between 50 hundredths and 60 hundredths, between 3/10 and 4/10. Of course, always being prepared to explain your reasoning. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit. And then finally, we're going to find the value of each of the following sums. This one's going to be easy. This one's going to be easy. This is when it's going to become tricky. And so those of you watching online, I'm going to leave this up for a moment so that you can get some screenshots and you can back review and go back and forth. Get some different screenshots for yourself so that you can do your practice online. Everyone else? We're going to stop this recording and we're going to get started. Thank you for watching.